What's up, everybody? It's Purger. This time, while it's still new, I'm gonna give my opinion on the brand new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. Starting off, to give some insight, I used to be a hardcore Apple fan. In 2018, I was that big Apple user. Now, after switching to Android, after my first job, I noticed the UI wasn't as pretty on Android. But the advantage of Galaxy, I noticed, was the more convenient productivity and personalization options they had with their devices. After One UI software, there was even more improvement in customization. But as far as features and customization, as you've been watching here, I've been showing the Z Fold 5 unfolding and its materials. It's running a Snapdragon Gen 2 processor, 7.6-inch dynamic AMOLED display, 6.2-inch cover screen, that's the front one, 4400 milliamp battery. Camera setup on the back, 12 gigabytes of RAM, and it comes in 256 gigabytes, 512, and even a terabyte of storage with no expandable memory. It's made of what Samsung calls their new Armor aluminum material frame and the back. Came a long way from the original Z Fold 2. You see, as this one has a little bit of work on it, I'm comparing. That hinge is huge, and I've dropped it on the ground. As you can see, the dent, I had to actually pry it back so that I can open again, but it didn't ruin the display or anything. But it had a glass back, an ugly camera cutout on the back. There's that chip from dropping it. The hinge is really big, and it has a book-like design. It opens slightly, it doesn't open flat. And as you can see from the cover screen gained a bubble from dust getting into it. I work at a factory, so a lot of polyester dust goes around. Still closes and opens solidly. It still feels premium, it just feels scuffed up. Going back onto the topic of the Z Fold 5, it's a much thinner design, much lighter weight, and you can tell by that hinge. That hinge is more rounded. The new phone is more smaller. That hinge is so much better. I mean, look at the back. The back is amazing, much better than having a square design. The screen is a little shorter and a little wider on the new one, while the older one is a little more narrower, but they're both pretty narrow screens, both have good animations, and the processors still hold up even with the Z Fold 2. The inside screen is way better with that 120 hertz refresh rate on the new one, and interesting that the new one folds all the way flat, while the older one was more of a tablet design, a book design that opened more like a book instead of a full tablet, which made bubbles happen in the front of the screen, and occasionally for some users when they first got it made the inside screen break. But I was unfortunately one of those people. But once it got fixed, it never really happened again, and I've dropped this thing like 5, 6, 7 times. I mean, with the case at first, the case broke. Then without the case, it chipped on the back. I mean, the inside screen never broke, the outside screen never broke. I mean, it's just a great device. So besides having this excellent design, now let's go over what's in the device. I'm going to go over a few things that this has. Besides design on the outside, it's all about the design on the inside. Now, iPhone does have a prettier OS. However, you do get your moments with an Android device. It does have animations. It does run just as smooth, depending on the device, like this one being a high-end device or the Ultra. It will run smooth as butter. Now, sure, the menus are not as elegant or pretty or colorful, but it still runs smooth, and it's still pretty optimal device. Now, if I'm going to go over the features are, one of those features is this is a 3-in-1 device. Now, you're going to be like, what? It's a 3-in-1 device. What? I thought it was a Z Fold. It's like a tablet in a phone. Well, not only is it a tablet in a phone, but it can be a computer as well. See, you can open this display, it'll animate and open up, it'll do its thing. It's a phone and it could be a tablet. But if you hook this up to a computer or a monitor and have a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, you can, say for instance, I have this computer over here. I can hook it up to the computer, run Samsung DeX on it, and then run this as a desktop PC or a virtual PC on a second monitor. I'll do that later on. I'm gonna show you how that's done. But this is a 3-in-1 device, so it's a PC, a tablet, and a phone. I'm gonna show you how the PC stuff works. It's actually awesome, and that's one of the signature features of this device. But not only that is the customizable options such as themes and animated wallpapers, your always on display, and so forth. You can get custom themes, which you can get them in bundles where they change your icons, your menus, your fonts, everything like that. That's one of the signature features of Galaxy. However, you don't even need to go with a theme. You can just go with as simple as animated wallpapers, icons, different icons, your always on display, and so forth. As you notice, the wallpapers are different for both the outside screen, and the layout can be changed independently from the main screen. See how I have the calendar widget only on this one, and just swipe up. Me and my girlfriend are on the home page. So this could be set up to be either mirrored on both screens, or you can toggle it off to be its independent own thing. You can also change the layouts. Say for instance, if you wanted more to shrink your apps to fit more, you can customize the grid. Here's that mirroring option I was talking about. You can mirror the phone to where they don't have their independent settings between both the front and the main display, and they're all one display and one layout, or you can turn it off. Then you have your home screen where you can decide if you only want the home screen or you want the independent app draw, which when you swipe up you get all of them, and then the front is the home paper. So they make it more simpler to get to your apps if you want it just to be simple and just have a home screen. The third one is the home screen grid. Now, if I wanted to close this display, now say this display is kind of narrow. So say for instance, if I wanted to expand this to 5 apps, well, I can go to my settings right here, and I can change the home screen grid or the app screen grid. Now, say for instance, for a better example, I can change this from a 3 to 5 to see it more better, or I can change it to a 5x6 to fit more apps. So say for instance, if I do that, it's going to shrink all the apps and put one more space. 5, it'll put one more space and one less row. And then that's what I have now. But say for instance, I wanted to see this better because the screen for whatever reason is too small, which that's not the case. I'm young still and I can see it. But say for instance, if I was older, I can make it as big as that. But since I'm young, I like it in the middle, and even that's fine. That's a little small in the naked eye, but on the camera it looks kind of big. But yeah, I could deal with that. That's actually nice. That makes the screen look way more detailed. All right. Anyway, setting that back makes it feel like it's a bigger environment in there. And also, when resizing them, you'll notice how there's spacing. Now, yeah, you could just move every single app back, but that would be too much. So here's what you could do. They have a little section where you click on the top and then you can clean up your pages. And then I reorganize everything to be next to each other. And you click apply, and voila. Let's go over the quick panel settings. Now, for performance profile, we only get light. We don't get extreme or anything like that. I forgot what it was, but there's a third option for extreme profile. That's not included with this one. But you could set it to light, which is a alternative battery save mode, kind of. But it's not really a battery save mode. It's just like to just ease the CPU or whatever. But I mean, it's pretty fast enough. This would be useful for maybe like lower end devices, I would say. So standard, I always keep it on standard, but the option's there anyway. Then you have, of course, your power saving options. But the difference if you're new to Android is with this you could turn on and it'll be its normal power saving, or you could go to a maximum power saving. Now, if I were to put on power saving now, it would just turn off the always on display, limit the CPU to 70%, and decrease the brightness. But say, for instance, if I wanted to go to, if I was in an emergency, say like 10%, I was really about to die, I would click that, and then I would click this, and then it'll turn everything off to where I cannot use any other apps except the default apps or the apps I set. It tells you how long the battery is going to last, and it only runs the default apps up here. If you wanted to run a different app, say for instance, sometime when I was on 30% and I had a bad battery on my S series, my older S7 series, that's back then, that's like way before when the things were like older and more kind of like laggier. You could do the same thing, the maximum power save, and then you would go to a black screen, it would black everything out, limit your app usage, disable biometrics, although this one you still have biometrics, so but it'll limit the device completely to only run minimum tasks. That way it lasts you like forever. But say for instance, if you did want to run an app, you could pick from the app list. Say for instance, oh, I need to text someone, or I need to text someone through Facebook. You can run Facebook, and then it'll put it in the taskbar, and then you can run Facebook. You can also close out apps by pressing edit and then cancel sign, and it'll actually disable that app from being used in the background. So that's maximum power save. If you really need that extra power saving in emergency circumstances, that's your go-to. But otherwise, you would just click this off and just put automatically, and then you get that little power saving symbol right there. But battery's pretty good for right now. I mean, I could power save right now, but I don't need it. I don't need it at all. There's your airplane mode, wireless power sharing. You could screen record. You have smart view, which is connect to a display or monitor, separate from DeX. Smart view is more of a mirroring thing to a Samsung product or Android product, I believe. Nearby share is where you can share to any other Android device or Samsung device. Eye comfort, your normal blue shield. You have link to Windows, where you can access an app on Windows that connects to your phone, so you can message on Windows, access apps. Call and text on other devices is when you have like say for instance a Tab 9 Ultra and you want to accept a call on another device or a text. It would be seamless across the tablet devices or even a capable TV. But you can text through PC and other devices the same way as you could on an Apple device, flawlessly. Device control is any smart things capable device. Say for instance, if I want to turn on my TV or control my TV or connect to my PC or even connect to my earbuds or radio in my car. You can even open the app from here, which I only have a TV. Now, this is completely off what Samsung is or even this product, but it does sort of have a link to this, and I do like how Samsung can be integrated with Google's ecosystem. Say for instance, I have a Samsung device, but I have the option to run Google services, which Google services run on Android. It gives me the control over having a whole ecosystem. Say a bunch of speakers linked together for surround sound entertainment and game lights. I can control my home. Not only that, but I can also, if I would have a dryer or a refrigerator, I can also control that through smart things the same way. And it just makes the entire experience great, because not only you don't always have to stay with the Samsung ecosystem, you also have the Google ecosystem on the side. If you can't afford a Samsung device, say for instance when I had my Revel RY Plus, I ran with Google services. I ran with Keep Notes, or say for instance Microsoft has Tasks or To Do, and Samsung has Reminders. They integrated those together. Apple has Apple Notes. But the point is, you have ecosystems that can be integrated together. Say for instance, Link to Windows. Link to Windows makes it possible for Windows devices to connect to this phone and text, just like you could on an Apple device. Your always on display, you can have a picture, you can customize your always on display. I accidentally pressed that. I can customize the way my clock is. I can also, say for instance, go to an image clock, which I had that as my image clock, but for the sake of the video, I decided to make it the same as my original Z Fold to make a comparison. You can make stickers, AR emojis, Bitmoji, gallery, and themes. You can change the color of the font. You can't really see it too well, but there's different colors for that. This is running at 60 Hz front screen and 120 Hz inside screen. Also, some people will say that the settings is a little confusing. Well, say for instance, one of the issues I had was finding edge lighting when I wanted to customize my edge lighting, which also is another feature I'm going to, but Android has over the years made things easier and easier for the user. So if you search up edge, there you go, edge panels, you got edge lighting style, and the one I'm looking for is edge lighting style. Well, it'll highlight where your setting is and take you to the page. This is another feature I want to go over. For notifications, you have different animation styles. You have wave, which is the one I have set on right now. You have bubble, which does the bubble effect on the top. You have multicolor, which actually animates the sides of the panels to be a multicolor. You have glow, which just glows it. Fireworks. You have just simple eclipse on the top. Echo. And spotlight. Not only you can change the color to auto, which is basically the app color. You can choose your color, and you can also do advanced, where you can change the transparency and the duration of it. Now, the difference in this device is it's gonna soon support One UI 6, which will give you even more customizable options, than the Z Fold 2. But you can also do glitter. There's more than I thought. I just didn't scroll. You got hearts, and then you got your basic. I like wave. Also, another feature of this thing is your edge panels. So say for instance, you can go to your reminders, your apps, you can access more apps. If here, it's not me multiply pressing the same area, it's me failing to press the area because I'm trying to look through the camera, but I guess I'm gonna start looking through the actual phone so I can actually do things. Your contacts, weather info, and so forth. Another great feature of this device, actually, this one's more hardware, is if you look closely, I'm gonna get the camera and show you. You keep looking, you see that bedtime icon right there? Well, if I go to camera, there's actually and LEDs over the camera cutout. So when I go back to that, so in full screen mode, you will not see that camera cutout. Makes full screen viewing a pleasure. The camera app is where even on your home screen, it's going to display your icons over the camera cutout. I say that's a little better than Apple as far as displays, but Apple does have a beautiful UI compared to this. But I do like the app draw swiping up, and the fact that my home screen can be a full wallpaper and I can see it a lot better than, say swiping to the right to get to the apps and so forth, like Android. Apple just came out with the ability, well, maybe not, I'm a little behind on knowledge of Apple, but I know for a fact that Android had the app draw swiping up to get the apps way before Apple, because Apple used to just pile them all together and you couldn't really see your wallpaper. But yeah, another feature of this thing is wireless charging. So say for instance I wanted to charge something, all I would have to do is close the device, go to my quick settings, which you can also customize this. It has a lot of quick settings. Go to wireless power settings, put it face down. It's going to automatically lock the device, and say for instance if I have some Galaxy Buds, which these are amazing, they sound amazing, I can put them on here and then charge them. But since they're already charged, it went green and turned the charger off automatically. But that's just one example. Let me give you a better example. My watch, it's actually a pretty old watch. I got it in 2018. So well, I got it upside down, but basically it's going to tell you the phone percentage and the phone percentage and the watch percentage. That way you can monitor the charge on the watch, which is a great feature for Android devices that are other than Samsung now are actually coming out with. So props for that. So it's a great performing device. A lot of people say it's confusing. I don't think it's confusing at all. I mean, it's really not. I mean, you have the ability to have separate apps, its own library. Basically, you have you can have two different apps to, say for instance, have like a business account and a personal account. Say for instance, if you have Snapchat and you can't have multiple accounts signed in, you can use the Samsung device, which is called Dual Apps, which I'm going to show here, to See, it's called Dual Messenger. It's going to show me where it is, and then you can have a dual messenger account from Messenger, Facebook, or Snapchat, and then you can also have separate contact lists. This is useful for, say, for instance, Snapchat doesn't allow you to have multiple accounts signed in. Well, you can run a second Snapchat app with a different account and use a second version of Snapchat. You can also go into this thing called an encrypted folder, or a secure folder, I mean, and install separate apps. Go into this encrypted thing and have separate apps. You can download them from the Play Store if they're new or not already installed, or you can select from the list and have it run its own version in a secure folder. Useful for apps that may not support multiple accounts, or whatever reason you may want a second app. A lot of people may say this is useless, but there's a lot of accounts that may not support second accounts. And say, for instance, banking apps. You have, I guess, for whatever reason, you have 2 investment accounts with Acorns. You might want to run that. It could be used for any kind of reason. The point is, it's there and it's convenient even for the people who don't need it. Because if they ever do need it, they have it. Also, another great feature about this device is the ability to switch flawlessly between apps. Say, for instance, I go on my calendar and I say I want to go to a different app, or I want to go to an app I previously been to, like the settings app. I can just click down there. I can click down there. It's fast. It's really fast. Then you got the ability to also go to different apps straight. So your app drawer actually works as a universal hub. So say, for instance, if you're already in another app, you could say just click here if you're in the settings and then go to the app directly. Your folders and everything is synced forward. I love the taskbar. It makes things super convenient, especially if I want to go to my photos or I want to split view. Say, for instance, also, along with that, if I wanted to multitask, there's 2 ways to do it. I'm not talking about multitasking like going between the windows. I'm talking about split screen view. Say, for instance, if I wanted to run a web page and a calculator at the same time, I can do that. All I would have to do, there's 2 ways to do that. I can open Safari, then I can click this and then drag that over to here. Say, for instance, I have a document, I'm trying to do some finances, or I'm looking at a bank account. I can run the bank account here, do my calculator over here, and it makes it convenient then switch in between. Say, for instance, also I don't need my calculator, I want to go back to full screen, but I don't want to close the app. I can also decide to switch them, or to make it even more convenient, if I don't want this open, all I would have to do is press this pop-in window. I can also do things with this pop-in window. Say, for instance, if I don't want the side-by-side screen, which is a little more easier, I can have this pop-out view. And what I mean by don't want it here anymore, I can drag this anywhere out the way, or I can simply minimize it and drag that somewhere else. If I ever need it again, I just need to pop it up. I can bring it in full screen, and then I can completely close it out. Or I could have completely closed it out in the pop-up view. I don't have a stylus to use with this, but if I did, this would be a whole nother list of features to go about this. But this might be coming in another video soon. I'm going to get to the greatest feature of this device, other than the notifications, the customization, the fact that you can change the fonts, everything. This is Samsung DeX. I'm going to show you how this works. There are 2 ways to connect the Samsung DeX. One, by wire, which is the fastest you can get, or 2, wirelessly. To do that, all you would need to do is go on your quick panel, go to Samsung DeX, And then it'll show a list of devices. Yeah. This is my phone running a desktop experience from my phone. And the best part about it is while this is running off my phone, it can be ran on just even a monitor that has DeX support. I can use my phone while interacting with the PC. So say for instance, if I gave this to my girlfriend and she wanted to play on my phone while I did some editing in InShot, I can edit on InShot and she could play the phone. Not only that, but say for instance, I can use this monitor and play games on this monitor. Or better yet, since this is a 4K monitor, what I like to do is sometimes I like to run two editing programs. Say for instance, one from my phone, which is a mobile editor, and one from Adobe. This is Adobe. I can do everything from my phone here. I can go to my files, I can check my emails, and they'll all open in like separate apps, separate windows. That's my apps drawer. This is all coming from my phone, by the way. This is just the Play Store. I can update my apps remotely. I can drag these around. I can resize them. Watch, and it's so smooth. So freaking smooth. Even on the wireless one, when you're using your phone while this is running, there is no interference at all. And you can minimize them just like Windows. You can bring them back up. You can X them out. It's literally a PC and a phone. And that's what I like about this. Flawless. Look at that. Best part about it is you can run two editing softwares, one major Adobe platform, and then you got your mobile editor for maybe like the extra little text effects that might be a little easier to mess with than to actually go in Adobe and After Effects and all that. So you got your simple, then you got your advanced, and that's the best part about this is even if I didn't have this PC that has a bad lighting sync issue. There's nothing wrong with the memory, it's just a bad lighting, something with the software is making it glitch. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Even if I didn't have this PC, I can solely run my phone as a PC, as its own desktop experience, because it has enough power to actually run like a PC. It works flawlessly, even though it's playing a video. It could be being used. Look how flawless it is. And it has multiple apps opening. That 12 gigs of RAM really does make it a flawless process. I can close all of them. Well, I closed that. And like I said, Samsung DeX not only runs on that PC, but it also can run on a Samsung TV. So if I go to from the smart menu, if I go to connected device, if I go to workspace, I can connect either through Windows, Mac, or Samsung DeX. I already have it right here. So say for instance if I press that, it'll say it's preparing to connect. Give me a prompt on the phone. I say start now. Still can't see it because I'm looking through the thing. Then it's going to start DeX on my PC. I'm sorry, on my TV. Now, the great thing about this is, yes, it would be easier to use a keyboard and mouse, but I don't have a Bluetooth capable one. I only have wired stuff. So, but the good thing is, you can use this as a mouse and keyboard. So to go down here, it says control Samsung DeX using your finger or S Pen. If I had an S Pen, this would be like completely different, whole nother thing. But yes, you can basically drag a mouse and use your TV as a computer. You can type on the phone. Your phone ends up essentially becoming your keyboard and mouse, although it would be a lot easier if you were to hook up a keyboard and mouse, because it would seamlessly switch between your TV and your computer if it was a high-end Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, which Logitech does. I want a Logitech, but some part of me wants to go to Razer, but that's besides the point. That is the great thing about the Galaxy products and most of the Samsung products, is you have DeX. It just makes it really, really useful, and it's super cheap. Instead of buying a $5,000 PC, you can buy a $2,000 phone and you get best of 3 devices. Wow, this was a long video. I hope this gave you insight on the latest Galaxy Z Fold, and if you want to see more like this, or maybe have me do a shorter video, let me know what I can do better, and I'll see you guys for the next video.